You are now tuned in to the Pink Boombox. Thank you for joining me, your host, Big V, for the very first episode of the Pink Boombox podcast. How does it feel to be a day one OG? I am so excited to start this podcast and so very grateful for all of you who have supported my TikTok content and encouraged me to go from talking shit on your FYP to a whole podcast. Before we get into the show, I want to break down the different segments of the show for y'all so you can know what to expect every time you tune into the Pink Boombox. Every show will kick off with my Hot 16. That is going to be where you can continue to hear my hot takes on everything from celeb tea to hashtag discourse. After our Hot 16, we'll jump straight into our Rap Yap. This is the space where I will dig deeper into not only my analysis and thoughts on rap and hip hop, but really celebrate and explore a lot of the history, foundation, and everything that has made this art form exactly what it is today. And I will be taking that space to really celebrate and highlight the contributions of Black women, femmes, and queer people to the genre because much like life, you wouldn't have hip hop if it wasn't for Black women, femmes, and queer people. After our rap yap, we will get into a PSA, which is an ode to my favorite rap song, Public Service Announcement by Jay-Z, but it is also a space where I will highlight political issues that mainly particularly impact the Black community that I want to encourage people to be tapped in, aware of, educating themselves on, and hopefully get active around. If you didn't know, for the past 16 years, I've been a community organizer, I'm an activist, and I am highly engaged in politics. So much like hip hop, you can't get me without politics. You can't get hip hop without politics. So the PSA will be our political space on this podcast. And every show will wrap up with the Yo V segment. This will be the opportunity for you to holler at me. Maybe you want my advice on something going on personal in your life. Maybe you want my 2 cents on a subject that I haven't spoken on yet. Or maybe you have feedback about one of my takes that you agree or disagree with. The Yo V segment is your chance to be heard. So if you want to be heard on this podcast, make sure you hit me up at YoV at pinkboomboxpodcast.com. Now let's start our very first show. My Hot 16 for this week is going to start off with Lotto and Cardi B. I'm calling it Pussygate, okay? I really want us to get into the lyrics of it all because people are calling it a diss, and I don't think that Lotto dissed Cardi. So she says, bitch said, what, let's clock it. Really got a Hermes store in my closet. Talking about buying Big Mama a bag like my nigga ain't already bought it. Like my nigga ain't coming off racks. Big bank over here, big facts. Wish a bitch would get in that booth. I'm calling up Black Boy Max. I don't think this is a diss. I think this is Lotto acknowledging the situation because what I think is strange is that I know for a fact in our fiction y'all would have called her pussy if she didn't address it at all. So I think she knew that she had to kind of address this situation, and she did. And it also sounds like somebody just expressing their feelings, which she has every right to do. And I think that's what triggered y'all so bad. The discourse around this was terrible. Y'all were just sounding like really bad friends that lack complete and utter emotional intelligence. Like, oh, it's not that big of a deal to me, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal to you. Or you let that other girl get away with it, you should let her get away with it too. Or your feelings was, you was cool 6 months ago and now your feelings changed. Like, yeah. People have the right to allow their feelings to feel. And when you feel your emotions, instead of avoiding them and hiding from them, sometimes they change. Especially if, when I said we was cool, it was at a point where I thought we could talk and come back from it. And then you took 2 months to hit me up after the fact. So yeah, my feelings might change. And I really feel bad for y'all friends if that's really how y'all treat y'all friends. The idea that you can just apologize and that's just supposed to make everything okay because you apologize, and the way that y'all think apology is accountability is strange, right? Apology is just an acknowledgement that you did something wrong, but accountability should also look like atonement. It should look like repair. It should look like doing things to regain that trust and also working on yourself so that you don't hurt one of your friends like that again. An apology is just the bare minimum. I tell people all the time, I can't wipe my ass with an apology. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. And after so many apologies, you just a sorry motherfucker. And also, sometimes repair looks like taking care of yourself first. Sometimes you need to repair the relationship with you first before you try to go and repair a relationship with somebody else that betrayed you. Because if you were prioritizing the relationship with yourself, you would then ask yourself, well, why do you want to give somebody a second chance who did what they did the first time? Because a lot of times second chances just result in that person either doing what they did again or something worse. Sometimes the best thing for the relationship is to leave a motherfucker right where they had you fucked up at, because continuing to take these opportunities to either get it right or not get it right could take y'all to a place where you could never come back from. What I hope for both of these women is that they are able to reconcile and repair the harm from this situation, whether that means them being friends again or not. I think there's a way for both of them to move forward and learn from this and grow from this, whether they come back together or not. And that's what I hope for them, because friendship breakups are hard. The worst breakups I've ever been through in my life have always been friendship breakups. Speaking of Cardi and Lotto, Akbar is still trolling, okay? I really want Valerie to stop harassing us with that microphone. Please leave us alone. Thank you. She redid Trim's coconut water. She called it Fiji water. Mind you, Fiji water is nasty as fuck, okay? Fiji water is disgusting. Big grown ass woman with a small bottle of Fiji water between her legs. Bitch, you couldn't even get the big bottle. Please. Please leave us alone, Valerie. This time, she's remade Cardi's Pretty and Petty, and it's terrible. I really hate that y'all have gassed Akbar into thinking that she has bars. Just because you can rap doesn't mean you got bars. Like, you got the rhythm, you don't got the poetry. And it's okay. It's okay. Everybody ain't meant to be a motherfucking rapper. And I think that part of the reason why Akbar should really just hang this up is also because you don't take what you do seriously. If the only way that you can get people's attention is to troll, if the only way you can actually move the culture is to troll, you need to hang it up. This is not for you. Like, it's not gonna work. And she was salty because the song got taken down because, of course, bitch, why would I be allowing you to diss me on my own song, ho? That don't even make sense. That don't. And the weird thing is to watch her like call this competition. It's not competition. It's just you trolling. You don't got no real beef with these people. You don't got no real issue with these people. You just want attention, and you can't get it off your music. So this is the only way you can get it. Please, just stop, okay? In better news, Tina Snow is back outside. Megan dropped a snippet of an unreleased track where the chorus goes, all that wifey shit is dead. Put that shit in bed. I'm going to make a bed for it when I was a bed. And I just cannot wait. I always love a new Megan Thee Stallion song. She just dropped a remix to the D-Man, Boss Love. I don't know that man, and I don't like that Motion Party song. And Megan verse on it is cool, but it's not enough to make me like that song. I did really fuck with the verse that she did for Juvenile's remix. I'm still spinning that. But I cannot wait for this new song. I love a Tina Snow joint. Tina don't miss, okay? Miss Tina Snow, she gonna go in there and do what needs to be done every single time. So I'm very excited to hear this new music. Megan also responded to a man who went viral for, talking shit. Oh, y'all want to listen to these female rappers. Da, 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 da. And she said, hey, we collecting these man tears all summer long. So keep them flowing, which I collect man tears year round. Okay, but I do love to stock up over the summer. So I am very excited, not only for Tina Snow, but all of the men who are going to be hurt, pressed, and distressed by the way that the girls are about to be outside. And also, speaking of the girls being outside, I want to say happy Pride to Boosie. Happy Pride to Boosie. He has been lifting up the LGBTQ issues all month long, okay? From talking about men with paint on their nails to trans women being at the function, okay? Boosie is always going to advocate for the people. Amen? Happy Pride, Boosie. Now, if you don't want to hear spoilers about Euphoria, go ahead and fast forward now. Unfortunately, I have to spoil Euphoria for y'all because the internet spoiled it for me. Okay. I haven't caught up on the new season of Euphoria because the way that my brain works, when something that I watch comes out with a new season, I have to go back to the old one and literally start from season one, episode one. So I just restarted because I was watching Snowfall when the new season dropped, and then I watched Godfather of Harlem right after that. So I'm just now getting back into Euphoria. But I found out thanks to the internet that Rue dies. And honestly, that's not shocking to me. I respect the writer's choice to make that decision. And I understand why. Like, I think even in an old season, Rue had a monologue where she said, like, teen addicts usually don't beat the odds. So don't bet on me. You might as well give up on me now. It was something like that. And honestly, it's true. It's reality. And so I think the choice to, end her life keeps a realism in the script that would have been ruined if they would have created this, fantasy, best case scenario ending where she gets her shit together and is able to be sober and goes off to be a productive adult in society. Like, especially now, starting back at the beginning of the season, like, my girl was hot and ready, fresh out of rehab. Like, where's Feds? Let me get the shits. Let me get loaded right now. So when it's that strong and the addiction is that deep and you're really struggling to work through it and you're not getting the support you really desire, like you have support, but it's not the support you desire. And mainly you don't got the fight in you to fight. It ends up that way, and it's just in period. Even sometimes when you do get past it and you are able to get to the better side, there's consequences to your actions. There's always consequences to your actions. That makes me think about the Cardi B situation. Like, you can apologize and you can say sorry. You can even atone. That doesn't also mean that you won't face consequences to your actions. Sometimes the consequence to that action is having that shit called out. And apologies and sorries and attempts you can't avoid consequences. We grown. Right? And even young people, y'all should be teaching y'all kids that they can't avoid consequences. So I'm not shocked that, Rue died. It's unfortunate. And I'm still gonna watch it all the way through, even though I know how that storyline ends. But yeah, RIP to our girl Rue. Every Hot 16 segment will end with me talking about new music that I am either currently playing or skipping. And currently, I am listening to Wax Paper by Tierra Whack. I love Tierra Whack so much. And when I first started listening to her, I felt like I really had to get to a point where I could digest it. Like, I feel like the rap sometimes it isn't the rap. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes you got to get to the point where you can really have the palate, and I feel like I had to work my way up to being able to enjoy Tierra Whack's music. I love Wax Paper. It has this 90s gritty, it sounds like something old but something new, and it really sounds fresh because that 90s sound is so abandoned now, and she does it so well, and she just is an incredible lyricist. And Wax Paper is the first song off of a new project that is coming out on Juneteenth that's called Wax Museum. I'm very, very excited about that, and we'll definitely be spending that on Juneteenth. Everything pinga, everything twinkle. Mona Leo can not do no wrong in this house. Mona Leo can't do no wrong, period. Okay? Everything Pinka is amazing. It's infectious. And what I love about it is that you hear the chorus and you think it's going to be this very girly pop song, but you get into the verses and it's actually very like dirty South. Like, that girl can't force the Houston up out of herself even if she tried, and I love that she leans into it because it creates this super authentic identity that creates a sound that is so true to her, and it's so raw, it's so real, and I love it. I even love Tizo Touchdown on this, which I don't know the young man. This honestly was my first time listening to him, and I wasn't mad. They was cute in the video. I love a Beyonce reference. I love a pink check on it, Beyonce reference. She ate that. And I've been wearing the brakes off of her Crossroads freestyle. Like I said, Mona Leo can't do no wrong in here. I've been listening to a lot of her music, but everything Pika and Crossroads freestyle is getting played on a regular basis. And I just love that she went through that situation and came out on the other side of it. Like, now I need to go even harder. Like, I hate that she had to go through the situation. I especially hate that she had to advocate for herself the way that she did, because the medical system is so anti-black. And I'm glad that she did advocate for herself and she survived that situation. And I'm even more excited to see her come back and snatch everything she left on the table and then some, you know. And so the Crossroads freestyle was like, that's how you come back. That's how you do that. And she's a rapper. Like, she is a rapper, and I love Mona Leo down to the ground. I also been listening to Sugar Girl by Little Sims. The first track is my favorite. That first track goes hard. But I also really enjoy the collab with JT. And I never expected to hear them together on the track, but it works so well. It's an EP. And those two tracks are definitely my favorite. But honestly, all four of those songs are really great songs. And I'm excited for whatever is coming after this EP, because I'm new-ish to Little Sims, but everything that I've heard so far, I've really fucked with and enjoy. Another girl who can do no wrong in this house, Rico Nasty. This is a Rico Nasty household stan account, the Rico Nasty universe, okay? Came out with a new song called Rituals, and it makes me feel like OG Rico is back. Like, if you met Rico at Key Lime OG, like, something nostalgic about Rituals and like what Rico is doing. And I really loved Lethal. It was one of my top 5 rap albums for 2025. Like, I love everything Rico does. I do prefer when she's in her rap bag. Okay, when she's in her DMV rap bag. Like, my favorite Rico album has to be Nasty. It has to. I just think that's one of the best pieces of rap work out there is Rico Nasty's self-titled album, Nasty. And yeah, so if I can get her, if we can get more of that, I'd be a happy camper. But truthfully, Rico, I'm gonna take whatever you whatever come up out that booth. Okay, no complaints here. I'm just saying, I love Rico when she's in her DMV rap bag, and Rituals feels like when she's in that alternative rap rock star bag, and I'm okay with that. Love the alternative girls. Love the alternative girls down to the ground. Okay. I've also been fucking with Isaiah Rashad's new stuff. So glad to see him back outside and doing the things and making music. I feel like he's always been so slept on. So I'm just glad to see that he's moving and shaking and the music is hitting the way that it hits. Okay. Now, new music that I'm listening to that surprised the fuck out of me is Vince Staples' Crybaby. And I really did not expect this from him. He has always given me like conscious gangster rap, but like not intentionally trying to be gangster, just like telling the honest truth about his lived experience and being very aware of the way that society and all the things plays a role into it. And just also having very like a strong, loud disdain for law enforcement and the roles that they play in criminalizing and brutalizing the Black community. And so but this feels like a deeper level of conscious for Vince. I don't know. Maybe he got deep cuts that I need to visit, and I just feel like this is something I've never actually heard from him before. And admittedly, I do listen to his stuff, but I don't think I really get deep into his catalog. But this really shocked me. I wasn't expecting him to be so introspective and to be so prolific about the United States and the experiences that Black people have, and the way that he is telling the story about these experiences in such a artistic way that I also think is very different for him sonically. Again, I don't get too deep in his catalog, but the things that I've heard don't sound like anything on this album. Like I don't think there's anything on this album that I can be like, oh, I've heard this from Vince before. It was a really beautiful project. That is one of those things that I feel like I gotta let it rest and then come back to it in a space where I'm like ready to take on the level of thought that is inside of that project. But it's dope. Crybaby by Vince Staples is really dope. And when he came out, I think Blackberry Marmalade was the first single. When I heard that, I was like, oh. But I didn't know we were gonna get a whole album of oh. But I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at all, Vince. Some other rappers that I've been seeing on my FYP that I really fuck with. Chubby Chaser has a new song called Hell Yeah. She went viral not too long ago for her song called Skeezer. I know a big fine skeezer when I see one. And then she kind of disappeared for a little bit. So I'm glad she's back outside. And Hell Yeah is definitely that dirty South twang. I love me a Southern rapper. It's somebody, okay? I love me a Southern rapper. And so, yeah, Hell Yeah has definitely been getting spent in this house. And Mama by Lil Biggie, I think that's her rap name. You can't pay me to watch that show. Everything I know about it is forced on me. And so I've seen her in viral clips, but I want to see more of her in that booth. More of her in the booth and less of her on that show. Because, yeah, hell yeah. Now, new music I'm skipping. Bitch by Lizzo. The title track was cool. I was able to get through that and Little Black Cat. But other than that, everything else just felt like we've been here before. I've heard this from Lizzo. It just felt very uninspired. And it felt like it felt like we making music because we got to and not because we want to. And I feel like that, to certain listeners, it matters. Like your energy and your emotion and your belief in the project, it matters. And, I think I'm one of the few people that definitely was side-eyeing Lizzo after that whole situation. Not even just was like the allegations. I think it was the way that she like responded was, it was a little rough for me. And I still wanted to give this album, a spin because I love Lizzo's music. I remember telling somebody about Lizzo, before she blew up because I was really tapped into her early on. And the music, Special kind of lost me. And then this, I don't want to be found. Like, leave me where I'm at. I'm so sorry. I want more from Lizzo. I need more from Lizzo, and this isn't it. Another album that I hate to say that I'm skipping, Big Mama by Lotto. And I hate to say it because I think there's really good songs on this album. I gave my thoughts, my deeper thoughts on TikTok about this, and I really just think the disconnect is her trying to write about a subject that she does not want to talk about, and it's just giving the most superficial bars ever in something that seemed like it was going to be very deep and personal, and it's not. It's not. And the quality isn't there. Like, it don't even got to be, it's like, I don't pull up to Lotto's music really wanting deep and personal. I know she can give that sometimes, but even this is just a too superficial, like too surface level. And also, again, like I said on TikTok, at some point you got to grow. Like, people are watching you go from being a kid to being a parent. The bars have got to grow up. They have to. Else you gonna be trying to make music for people 10 years younger than you, and you're gonna be your fave. And unfortunately, that's what I hear a lot on some of these songs, like Chrome Heart Diaper Bag and Okay. Like, I want to like the Okay song. Doja's verse is really nice, but I just hear that man. And y'all know how much I hate agreeing with that bald head button boy on that podcast. But he said that, he believes that that man's not writing for her, but it does sound like his influence is coming out in her bars and in her recording. And I just feel like you can't deny that. Like, it's there. You hear it. You can hear it. I wish she would have given us more of the Daddy's Girl interlude. I wish we could have even got more of Get Money Girl or like Business and Personal. Like, well, less of Get Money. I like Get Money Girl, but less of Get Money Girl, more business and personal, more Daddy's Girl interlude would have been nice. But unfortunately, we just didn't get that from this album with Lotto. And I had to go back and listen to Sugar Honey Iced Tea after I finished this just to remind myself that this girl really does have skills that I respect and music that I enjoy. And, I just think all of the things that she had to deal with while recording this album created some level of disconnect on top of trying to write about a subject that was very personal and intimate that she does not like talking about. Like, writing is about expressing yourself. And when you try to limit your expression, you compromise whatever you're writing. And so, I'm not shocked that the bars felt very restricted. And also for me, the worst thing about this album is the features. Coulda went without that white man. Coulda went without your baby daddy. Coulda went without Sexy Red. I don't. And I also don't think a lot of people were calling out the fact that Megan Thee Stallion wasn't on this album, but honestly, Megan and Lotto have collabed so much together. Like, it gets to a point where it will start to sound like the same thing if every album, like, again, like I was saying with the whole lyrics and everybody feeling like Gimme That was a diss. Like, I just think y'all look for drama with these girls where it don't need to. First of all, there's enough drama. You don't gotta look for it where it actually isn't. I don't think there's no beef between Lotto and Megan because Megan wasn't featured on this album. She's been featured on damn near every project her and Lotto have. Lotto's been on her album. She's been on Lotto album. Like, it's okay. And Megan still has a project coming out. We don't know if Lotto might be on that album. That may be where their feature is. So I'm not going to assume there's any beef between her and Megan. And I don't think she needed to go back to her old features, but these features just wasn't it. The only feature that was done well was the Doja feature, and that's it. Last but certainly least, don't ask me about those 3 albums. Don't ask me my thoughts about those 3 albums. I'm not listening to those 3 albums. I have not listened to an Aubrey album probably since Views. I hated Views. The only song I liked on Views was Hype. And no, I take that back. I tried Scorpion. I gave Scorpion a chance and was still like, well, should have just left it at Views. So no, definitely skipping that. And that's that for our Hot 16. Moving on to our Rap Yap. I am so excited to talk to y'all about the first time I heard a woman rap. For me, the first time I can recall hearing a woman rap was Salt and Pepper. I listened to What a Man because that was my mama's song. She loved En Vogue. I grew up in a very R&B, gospel, soul household, okay? And she loved What a Man. She would listen to a rap verse if it was like featured on a R&B track. But for whatever reason, she did buy that Salt and Pepper album that had Shoop on it. And while What a Man was probably the first time I heard Salt and Pepper that I can recall, Shoop was the first time I was like obsessed with a rap song by a woman. And it made me want to learn more about Salt and Pepper as artists. And as I digged into, their catalog and the things that they've done, I learned that they were, the first women in rap to go gold and platinum. And I think what's interesting is that they were doing that around the same time as Run DMC. And when people talk about that era of hip hop, they always are talking about Run DMC, but they don't talk about Salt and Pepper as much. And I don't understand because, if I'm not mistaken, their first album did 1 million units and they were a smash fucking hit. And I would also say that even now, Salt and Pepper have been able to stay culturally relevant in a way that a lot of the artists during that time haven't, and I saw them recently receive like a Lifetime Award, and Salt like raps the acceptance speech. It was so good. Just like, this is the art form that I love. And I was just like, why are they just now receiving Lifetime Awards? Like, it's just the way that they don't get the praise and acknowledgement that they deserve, and they aren't placed in that pioneer conversation the way they deserve to be. Like, they really are trailblazers. And I think the thing that captivated me the most about Shoop was just like how, it was very like, it was very like it was masculine, but it was pussy. I don't, the way that it was like, here I go again, ladies, what's my weakness, man. And it's like, rapping about how much you love men and are attracted to men, but also taking this very like, I'm gonna catcall you, like, gotta thank your mother for it, but like that, like, it was a way of talking that up until that point in my life I never really heard come out of a woman's mouth. It was always men kind of talking like that, but Shoop was like, it really gripped me up, and it exposed me and opened me up to the idea of women being able to rap really, really well. And I didn't have many examples of that before I came across Salt and Pepper. And after I got into Salt and Pepper, I dig deeper into people like Queen Latifah, MC Light, and then I came across Lauryn Hill. My mother used to have this like entertainment center. Went to like floor to ceiling, be like different towers, and one tower had all of these slots for CDs. I'm the 90s baby. I grew up with a bunch of CDs and Jet magazines in my house, okay? So I used to comb through those CDs. That's how I found her Salt and Pepper CD. And The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was the first CD I actually stole out that collection. It was the first time she ever like, you know what my Lauryn Hill CD is? While it's in my Walkman. I have no idea. I haven't seen it. Like, because I was obsessed, and to this day, like, I'm still obsessed with The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Hearing Lauryn Hill rap alone is definitely an experience. It's amazing, but hearing Lauryn Hill rap in her group, the Fugees, that was the first time that I was like, oh, a woman can absolutely be the best rapper alive, because I'm listening to her rap with the Fugees and she's got the best verse almost on every song. Sliding it, walking it, dog walking it down, like every verse. Just, I don't even think there's enough words to really explain the lyrical madness that this lady has. And then hearing her rap alone was this like really beautiful experience, because I think it gave her a chance to be more artistic, and it gave her a chance to be more open and more explorative. But what I always love about Lauryn is the depth of the substance of the lyrics also matched the depth of the skill. Like, while she has all of these amazing things that she does when it comes to patterns and the way that she understands grammar and language, and the way that she leans into that and uses it, the storytelling and just like the rawness that's coming from her gut when she raps, but also everything she's saying is just so insightful and thoughtful. And I think a lot of those raps still stand today. Like, it's not a lot of rappers who have messaging that can transcend decades, and you can pull up a lot of those lyrics and a lot of the things that she's saying about the Black experience, both in the industry and in the world, they still apply and they're still relevant, and that's what we love about songs like The Message, right? It was something that was speaking truth to power then, but it still applies now. And speaking of The Message, Sylvia Robinson is another woman who it took me a couple years to learn about, and it took intentional research into women in hip hop. I just used to sit on the computer. I still Google things and just nerd out and read about things. And I wanted to learn about all the women who have ever been in hip hop, and in the process of wanting to learn about that, I learned about Sylvia Robinson. I think what's so interesting is that even when she's mentioned now, a lot of people just like will quickly glaze over her significance and her impact and like talk about her husband because of the reputation that he has. But She literally is like single-handedly responsible for hip hop being pushed to the masses. Like hip hop would not have the global outreach that it has today if it wasn't for Sylvia Robinson. This is a woman who single-handedly put out rap music that inspired generations. Some of the most significant and prolific rappers began to rap because of the rap music that she produced. And I think a lot of people only give her credit for like signing the Sugar Hill Gang, but people don't understand she produced that record. She produced Rapper's Delight. She produced The Message, right? These songs informed rappers for years and years to come, and they still do, because then those rappers inform rappers. And so, like I said before, you don't have hip hop, and you don't have hip hop's massive global impact, and you don't have the lucrative impact of hip hop without Black women, and especially without Sylvia Robinson, and without the women who were rapping during that time. Yeah, I learned about Roxanne Shante, but it was like much later in life where I learned about MC Sharrock. And like Roxanne Shante doesn't get enough credit for the competitive spirit in hip hop and how she really embodied that and like normalized it, and also created the first like mainstream diss track with Roxanne's Revenge. Like you don't really hear rappers going at each other on wax like that. Like you hear it at the party and battles, but you don't really hear it on wax until Roxanne's Revenge. And like I learned something really cool about MC Sharrock in the way that she is really kind of responsible for what we understand today as the ad lib. And there's just so many other women whose name we'll never even know. So many femmes and people, especially queer people, who or women whose queerness doesn't get talked about and doesn't get highlighted until much later on in life, and it doesn't get appreciated, like Queen Latifah. All of these women were so significant and pivotal to pioneering this genre to be what it is today. And it just sucks that while hip hop has been a space that has benefited so much from the labor of Black women, femmes, and queer people, it is also a space that continues to be incredibly unsafe, not just because of the messaging and the patriarchy and the sexism and the way that women are oftentimes put down in the music, but also because of the actual like people in the industry, thinking about this new situation with Tigger's wife, alleging abuse, and all the other men. Like it gets hard to go back to some of this music and listen to it, or just like dig into the nostalgia and realize how many of these people are like really bad people. And not to say that women are perfect simply because they're women and they're above, being problematic, but I think what is important is that we are more willing to look at women and criticize them and judge them, erase them altogether, before we do the same for folks who are more toxic to the culture than good. And I feel like Black women and femmes have created so much good for hip hop that just goes unnoticed, and I am so grateful to be able to create a space where I can share my love and my understanding and the knowledge that I have, and hopefully learn some things with y'all. Hopefully I learn y'all something, y'all learn me something about the significance of Black women and queer people in hip hop. And if you haven't listened to any of the rappers that I name, MC Sharrock, Roxanne Shante, Salt and Pepper, Sweet Tea, Queen Latifah, Moni Love, Rod Digger, Lady of Rage, okay? I encourage you to go find a woman who raps that you've never listened to before and dig into her catalog and expose yourself to the beauty that is women in hip hop, because they, just like any other thing, women elevate the art and they take it to a place where you don't expect it to go. And I think that's what, at every turn of this art form and this culture, that's what women and femmes and queer people have done. They take it to a place where you don't expect it to go, and that's what I experienced my first time listening to Salt and Pepper, my first time listening to Lauryn Hill. And I also asked my cousin when was his first time listening to a woman rap, and he gave a really good answer, which was house music. And I never thought about house music that way, but when he said it, it really did click for me, because we can't minimize the significance of house music in Chicago, and that's another thing that I really want to highlight in this space, because when you talk about the history of hip hop, it's always east, west, south, east, west, south, east, south. That's it. And if when we get to the Midwest, it's like Detroit, Kanye West, Twista, Common, Detroit, and Chicago is so significant to music. Period, not just hip hop. And when he said house music, it made me think about the way that you wouldn't have hip hop if you didn't have funk and jazz and blues and house music. And so when I think about rappers like Shauna and Da Brat and the pace at which they rap, I think I'm able to connect what he was saying about house music, because when you think about it, a lot of those women that were making that house music were rap singing. We attribute that to Beyonce a lot and give her credit for that. And then she deserves credit for popularizing it. But I do think those early house singers actually pioneered what we now call rap singing. And so shout out to my cousin Brian for giving me that answer, because I really wanted to lift that up, because again, black women period are always overlooked, but Chicago is overlooked. So definitely black women in Chicago get incredibly overlooked when it comes to the significance of the contributions that they have made to hip hop. And I want to wrap up this rap yap by saying, let a woman rap. Okay, just anytime, pass the woman a mic. Okay, pass it to somebody who is not a cisgender man. Pass it to somebody who is going to tell us something other than money, cars, clothes. That's all the nigga know. Like, and one last thing, men really need to settle up. Men really people period need to take the way that women rap on the chin, okay? Because hip hop has been kicking our back. Men in hip hop have been kicking our backs in for years, okay? You ain't shit but a bitch and a kicking our backs in for years. So chin up, motherfucker. The PSA for this episode is going to highlight what is currently happening to young black people in our country. Like I said before, I have been a community organizer for the past 16 years. I started organizing when I was 17, so you do the math, okay? And that is my life's work, is what I'm incredibly passionate about. Fun fact, I don't tell a lot of people this, but in high school and growing up here, I was just musically inclined. Like, it wasn't just combing through my mom's CDs and listening to all her music. Like, I played instruments, I sang, I was in choir. I was very musically inclined, and I even thought I was going to go to college for music, but I got involved in community organizing my senior year of high school, and that took on a life of its own. And I started organizing as a young person because of the things that I was experiencing, the lack of resources, and how real death was and like around me at that time, and how much I was afraid to lose my life. And seeing, what's going on in these large cases with these young black men, Carmelo Anthony, is a young man who was sentenced, convicted of murder when it was self-defense. And this is after a man was set free for killing a young boy named Cyrus. He got off on self-defense. And so I think what's so interesting about both of those cases is that it really highlights the way that young black people are just charged guilty, dead or alive. And it wasn't Cyrus's killer on trial, it was him. And, self-defense doesn't apply to us the way that it does to other people. And period, that system is never actually about giving us justice. It's always going to criminalize us. That's what it was built to do. I really hope that we are able to see that, acknowledge that, and divest from that, and start to imagine systems that actually keep us safe and that actually protect us, and also are able to serve us justice. And as much as I feel the need to call out the system, I also feel the need to call out the hypocrisy that I'm seeing in my own city, right? We have a system that is going to criminalize us and target young black people already. So I don't understand why we then choose to perpetuate it and do that work ourselves. In Chicago, there's these teen takeovers that have been happening, and so many people, including the city itself, the mayor and the police, they all are just treating it like it's like this scary thing that needs to be addressed with force. And while the mayor is saying the right things about it, the cops are still flooding the streets and causing chaos and treating young people like they don't have the right to be outside and enjoy the summer just like everybody else. Like, I don't know when we started to become a society that fears young people gathering in large groups and having fun, and the worst thing that probably happens is somebody gets into a fist fight. And I hate the way that people are trying to make it seem like there's like a wild amount of violence happening when it's not. Data wise, it's not. There is no increase of violence around these teen takeovers, and literally it's just a narrative that this is something to be concerned about or fearful of. And I think all of it, when I think about these things and the way that they're connected and the way they overlap, to me it just screams the need for us to continue to investigate the ways in which this system indoctrinates us and the way that we perpetuate it, not just in our own personal lives, but how we exist collectively, how we exist as a society and as a people. Even if you don't live in Chicago, there's still a lot of people who are contributing to the narrative that these teen takeovers are dangerous and that these young people, literally, I've been seeing comments online where people just like, they need to be jailed. And I know that there are a lot of bots online, but there are also still very real people, and they show up in real places and in real spaces and use the resources that they have to advocate for more criminalization of our young people and more resources going to police boots being on the ground and being in our community and having more of a presence than actual adults. And I always see people asking the parents, but something I think is true as someone who is not a parent and still takes responsibility for the young people in my community, it is that you can't ask what is the parent or what the parent got going on if you're not supporting that parent, if you're not trying to help that parent, if you're not trying to extend some type of relief and things that are actually going to be beneficial. But if you just got shit to talk, that ain't helping nobody, and it's not going to benefit nothing. So before you ask where's the parent, you need to ask where are you and what are you doing to support the young people around you, because we all live in this world together. And it's so interesting to me to see situations where like so many people were riled up about the group of young people who jumped that woman and her kids and in Chicago last year, and they were dead ass wrong. And it was still weird to see so many adults be like, oh, I want to whoop their ass and da 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 da. But then when they need support, when they need help, when they need resources, where y'all at? And this contributes to the system being able to be effective. It's going to do what it does. But we have to do our part as well. And when we don't do our part, it allows the system to step in and take over where actual people and community and family should be. And so I hope that the people who are devastated, heartbroken, triggered by the things that we are seeing in the news right now around these two young men, Carmelo Anthony and Cyrus Carmack Belton, I hope that folks really internalize the need for us to show up for young black people before the system does. And with that, it is now time for our Yo V segment. Like I said earlier, the Yo V segment is an opportunity for you to be heard. This week, Yo V comes direct from one of my friends, Kai. He asked me, Yo V, what are your thoughts on trim? And I've actually been asked this question multiple times by multiple different people. So it's not just you, Kai, that wants to know what I think about trim. And here's the thing. I think that the music's not for me, and that's okay. I know when something is, not for me. I don't think I'm in the age range and just period, I don't have the young ho soul that so many of you have. I have young ho tendencies, but my soul has been old since the day I was born. And so yeah, the music is not for me, but I also wouldn't be like turn that shit off if I was like outside and it came on and I'm like crossfaded. I coconut water. I could get shimmy to that one time or two. But still, I think the music is for somebody, and I think that is what is making her impact so heavy right now. The girl knows how to make a hit, and the reality is that whatever skills you lacking, as long as you know how to make a hit, you will be all right. Okay, ask Aubrey. All right, as long as you know how to make a hit, you'll have a career. And I think that is what is really her best foot forward right now, is her ability to make a hit. And I think the conversation around, copying Nicki and it's like, what do y'all want? Y'all want to call this lady the queen of rap. She been calling people her sons for decades, okay? Then when the actual children appear, y'all get mad. I do think that there is obviously a heavy Nicki influence on there, although I think her tone of voice is natural. I think y'all have to understand that Nicki doesn't own her tone of voice. She also doesn't own that technique of throwing your rap voice in a very animated and colorful direction, right? That actually started in the very beginning of hip hop with a lot of artists who were still listening to funk artists, still listening to, George Clinton and the Parliament Funk, and really wanting to recreate that sound in the way that they were rapping. So I really need a lot of y'all to learn that Nicki Minaj is not the first rapper to ever rap. She's not the first woman to ever rap. I listed a lot of them who came before her, and educate yourself and to realize that sometimes, some people have certain tones of voices and they're similar, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that person is trying to copy that person or whatever. But, but even still, I do think there is a heavy Nicki Minaj influence on this girl. And I think where some of the imitation is coming up is in the brand choices, like the Barbie logo. Sister. The Barbie logo is a dead I'm a Barb giveaway. And also the wearing of the pink, like you can tell that pink isn't her favorite color. Like the way that pink is Mona Leo's favorite color, the way that pink is my favorite color, you can tell that pink is not that girl's favorite color. So it feels like the choices of the pink, the Barbie logo, are definitely trying to like copy and paste. And I think she needs to go to the drawing board on that and revise that and come up with a brand that speaks to her identity. But I don't think I don't think she's copying Nicki's tone or things, because again, that's just something you born with. Like, your rap voice shouldn't sound like your natural voice, but your rap voice typically doesn't always get, sometimes it does, but it doesn't not get too far away from your natural voice. And so when you listen to her talk naturally, I think it sounds very similar to her rap voice, and that just tells me that's just something she was born with, and she can't control that. But what she does control is the choices behind that brand, and that brand is screaming, I want to be Barbie. And with that, y'all, is the end of the first episode of this podcast. I can't believe it. I can't believe we actually made it to the end of the podcast. I have been putting so much effort, so much thought, so much intention into this, and I am just so grateful. And I can't say thank you enough to those of y'all who have encouraged me, supported me, and thank you in advance for those of y'all who will enjoy this content and, help it grow. I'm so excited. And I'm going to close the show with a verse. I'm going to give my favorite verse. allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho. H to the OV. I used to move snowflakes by the OZ. I guess even back then you could call me CEO of the ROC. Fresh out the frying pan into the fire. I be the music biz #1 supplier. Flyer than a piece of paper bearing my name. I got the hottest chick in the game wearing my chain. That's right.